Another week and another paycheck spent to my triathlon needs. What's up everyone? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Emlyn Jade and I'm currently training for my first 70.3 Ironman, which if you're not familiar with, it is a triathlon that consists of distances of 1.9k of swimming, 90k of biking, and 21.1 kilometers of running, which is a half marathon. So because it is tax season and all that, it got me really deep into my finances that I was like, I'm very curious to see how much I've spent on my Ironman 70.3 journey so far, and it hurt just a little bit. And I thought, why not share it with the rest of you, especially for those of you who are thinking about starting their Ironman journey. It is not cheap. It is quite expensive, so I thought I'd give some transparency into what it really looks like when it comes to investing in this journey. So in terms of how I've broken down the categories, I've broken it down to 5 main categories, I believe. No, 6. 6 main categories. The first one being anything to do with race day, so the registration, accommodation, and then I've got training needs, so like a training app or a coach or what have you. The next categories would be the swim, bike, run, and then nutrition. So going into the first category, which is race day, the registration cost me $417. Now, I believe this ranges depending on the location as well as the distance. So obviously an Ironman would be way more expensive compared to 70.3. And then I think there's also different packages that you can combine accommodation and whatnot with your registration fee. However, I did book accommodation separately, and that itself was not cheap for the total, which was 2 nights, I think Friday night, Saturday, no, for 3 nights, we ended up paying $1,200, which hurts a little bit, but I guess if you've broken it down per night, it's not the worst. And I am splitting it with my partner, so again, that helps. So the next category is training needs. So if you've been following me for some time, you know that I'm currently using Motive as my main training app, and then I use Zwift for my cycling training, and then I also go to a pool to train. So I have to pay for a punch-in membership. I believe it's like 20 punch-ins, and as you can see, I've got Zwift on a monthly payment, so I think I've estimated it for about 7 months of training times the monthly price. I can't remember what the monthly price is, but I'll put it here. And then that goes the same with the Motive membership, which is a monthly subscription, and I did that for 7 months. So once my 70.3 race ends, then I'll end both monthly memberships and then I won't have to pay anymore. So that comes to a total of $475.89. Then the next section, which is the swim. So I've had to invest in a wetsuit because the water isn't warm, especially here in Canada. It's on the colder end, so likely we'll be wearing a wetsuit on race day. So I went and got that, and I got it from 2XU, which came to about $347. I decided to get another swimsuit since I was going to the pool 3 times a week. I was like, 1 swimsuit is not enough, so I need at least 2. So I bought a TYR swimsuit, and that cost about $100. And then this one, it was a nice to have, but I wanted a bag that I could bring to the pool with me and put all my swimming gear in, and that came to $34, which I got off from Amazon. So the total of all the swim stuff that I got so far came to $481. Ugh. Moving on to the most expensive category, which is the bike. So the most expensive item that I got, and I know it's not the most expensive item out there, it's the bike plus all the starter accessories like the cleats, the pedals, and the helmet. I got it from Trek, and that came just under $3,000, so about $2,800. And again, you know, I think in the grand scheme of things, that's actually a pretty good deal considering a lot of bikes out there are like at least 10 grand. But again, I'm starting out. I don't need to invest in something so expensive just yet, just enough to get me through 70.3. So, you know, if I decide to do a full Ironman or decide to do more triathlons in the future, maybe I'll invest in it, or, you know, I'll just upgrade the different components to make the bike better. I don't know. I don't know a lot about bikes, so I'm I'm just gonna start with what I have and then go from there. So in addition to the bike, I did a lot of indoor training, which meant I needed an indoor trainer. And again, I didn't get the most expensive one out there. I ended up getting the Wahoo Kicker Snap, which was something on the cheaper end. And this cost me $224. I think we got it on sale. It was originally like $900 or something like that. So we ended up getting it on sale. And then I had to get a bunch of accessories like my clothes, as well as some bike components like a water bottle holder, bento box to hold my gels. Now there's a few things that you don't necessarily need, like a bento box for example, but I felt more comfortable having some kind of storage for my nutrition on the top part of my frame. The bike section can get really expensive and you can get carried away very easily, so I try to remind myself, only get what you really need. At the very minimum, you know, a bike repair toolkit is important just in case something happens to you when you're riding outdoors. Obviously, you've got the bike. If you want to make sure you're training indoors as well, then get a trainer. Again, there's a lot of really expensive trainers out there, but you know, depending on your budget and what your preference is, you can probably get one on the cheaper end, which, you know, was something that I did. Yeah, the damage that was done in the bike section came to $3,500, almost $3,600. And when I compare that to other more mature triathletes, I'm like, oh, this is actually not bad. But for someone who hasn't invested so much money in a sport like this, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is painful. You'll notice I don't really have a running section because I came from a running background, and I'm very fortunate enough to be partnered up with Saucony, who gives me some shoes from time to time. And I've got all the running gear already, so I kind of took that out, and that's something that I put towards like marathon training expenses, which we'll get into later down the road. The next section is nutrition, which so far I've spent on gels and Noon tablets starting in February. So the total of all this comes to about $375. Now I know that's going to build up some more because I typically order batches on a monthly basis, so that will likely climb sometime in the next few weeks. And I'm sure I've missed some other items out there, like smaller pieces, and this doesn't take into account, you know, like the mid-ride snacks during my long rides. I just stuck to like the main things of all these different categories, and that kind of hits a big chunk of your expenses. So if you add that all up, the total that I've spent so far comes to $6,589. Scratch that. I just spent another $300 on a tri-suit. I totally forgot to include this in my expense tracker, but it just came in and I got this from 2XU. I can't remember, what was this one? Light speed sleeve tri-suit, and it was $304.63. What did you get? A 15% off discount? Yeah, the welcome code. So, you know, every little bit counts. So the new total comes to $6,893. Ugh. I know this isn't the end of the investment into my Ironman 70.3 journey, so I'll probably do a recap of how much everything cost by the end of it all. So I thought I'd do a check-in financially and let you guys know the financial reality of what this journey looks like. Again, it's not cheap, but if you are serious about the journey, it's definitely worth the investment because I'm having a lot of fun so far. Hopefully the race goes just as well. So that was a little bit of a different video this week, but I will be back to regular programming next week in terms of my vlogs. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you are interested in catching up on the rest of my 70.3 journey, I do have a series that you can check out here. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you in a later one. Bye!